Where am I from? I'm from here. I mean, here, not Venice, but Italy. I'm Italian, of course. I don't know what does it mean now to be Italian. Also because in Italy, the sense of belonging is most of the time related to the city of belonging, and I don't really feel Roman. I've always felt, in a way, at ease when I was moving between places. In the movement, I felt at home. This sense of being at home in so many places, even not really feeling linked to a particular place, and also for the fact that my family is originally from four different places in Italy, um, pushed me in trying to reconstruct the story or the stories of the family. And so this, in a way, reflects also in my way of writing, which is, in a way, always linked to the past. I like to start from a historical fact or analyze something happened in the past, also recent past, not also recent past, and trying to see and to understand when it is possible, it's not always possible, how the past reflects on the present.
When my grandmother died, me and my father went to the house to empty it because it was on sale, and I took this photo. It's the only thing I took from the house, and I realized that nobody who is in this photo is alive anymore, and the house in front of which they are sitting on doesn't exist anymore because the city grew and grew and somehow ate the house. And I think it has something to do with my writing, because my writing somehow tries to keep alive this lifestyle that is disappearing, because they all live with all those animals and plants and gardens to feed the people. And yeah, this is a way of understanding life that is disappearing, and my writing somehow tries to keep all of this alive, from my own point of view, and from a today's perspective. One thing that I think is somehow characteristic of my writing is that there's always a character who's trying to know something from his or her past, something that he or she doesn't know, and he has to investigate. And he talks to us, he tells us all of the things he's learning in this investigation about something that happened maybe when he wasn't even born. So yeah, I think this is something that it's really in my writing, these characters that are always trying to know things they don't know, and maybe they don't have the tools to know what exactly happened.
I'm from a family of a father and mother, and I'm from a family that spoke a certain language. And all my childhood, I was trying to learn their language, their gestures, the way they walk in life. And afterwards, I went to school and I was learning new language, language of higher education, language of theater people. And throughout the process of me learning other languages, I found out that I've lost the ability of speaking the language of my parents, of my family. And that's where I am now. I am in a place where I'm trying to gain the ability to speak again the language of my family so I can share my perspective, everything I learned about the world I live in, and I'm trying to find again the language of my parents so I can share my thoughts and my perspective of world with them again. And I would say that where I am in life most of the time, trying to learn a different language. It's not necessarily like English or French or other language of people that I'm trying to communicate with.
I was born between an airport and a prison, which are both transitory, temporary places. That could be a reason why I love theater, which is temporary, transitory space as well. I come from space where the identity is reconstructed through the passage. There is not any kind of long-term strong identity in my space, or I think so. I'm not so sure even if I know what the identity is, so I am trying to discover that here in Belgrade. I like to say that I come from Central Europe. From the historical point of view, all the borders and empires were pretty much changing here. There was always some authority from outside who decided for me, for people. And so I think people got more used to look around what is happening, but not having so much control over what is going to happen next. For me, things in Central Europe are more like coincidence or the results of activity of outside world, not so much result of my own actions. Maybe also for this reason, I don't write so much big dramatic stories where everything depends on somebody's radical decision. I play more with fragments. My favorite hero is not a king. He or she is living his ordinary life full of details that are important just for him. And all the time he knows that there is so many other possibilities of different life. I like this secret drama hidden in everyday struggle. The most interesting for me is what is happening in head of somebody walking in the street. This stream of inner consciousness, this curiosity, what actually is happening now under everyday policies. In post-socialist architecture, people say that everything is mostly grey, but I think it's just a trick. It grows in you a sensitivity to a small detail that changes the interpretation of everything. Every unnoticed details change everything. Before the fall of a Berlin Wall, it used to be a space where you couldn't buy anything. So people learned how to create it themselves out of rubbish. The question is for me how to create something new from something old, a new story from pieces which were already there. I come from Central Europe, and many people from other countries doesn't believe that this space even exists.
I come from Poland. Specifically, I was raised in a region in south of Poland called Silesia. I think my origin and the place I come from are really tightly bonded with the things I write or I'm interested in. Silesia is a region, as I mentioned at first, the region in the south of Poland with a different tradition than Polish, different history as well, and different language, which is not yet, but I hope so, in the future, near future, considered as a separate ethnic minority language. Nowadays, it's a dialect still of Polish language. So this region was always in between, kind of, the countries. It's mix of the Polish, German, Czech, and in terms of language, also Old Polish tradition. And during not so easy history, it was passing from one country to another. So I feel that this specifics of being in a place in between always kind of being with me, although I didn't realize it always like that. And also I'm from a working class family. I have a long tradition of coal mining in my family. My father is coal miner. His father was, my brother is, and half of my family basically is somehow connected with coal mine. So this working class origin somehow, and the cult of work in the region somehow influenced my work. I like to being in the places that not so many people have been before, and see connect the contexts that are not so obvious in the categorization of topics.
I am from Romania, more exactly from Transylvania. I think a lot of people know what Transylvania is from the vampire stories. I don't know if there are a lot of vampires there, but I can tell you it's a very beautiful region of Romania. So I decided to become a writer when I was around 8 years old. During a night, I wrote a novel in German about UFOs. Also, it was with illustrations, and I wrote the whole night. And in the morning, when I went to bed, I was decided, and I said, when I will grow up, I will become a writer. And I came to theater when I was 15, and I was acting in high school, so through a theater group in high school. When I'm working with young people, with students, the most important thing is to teach them to be true to themselves, to write true things, not to lie to themselves, because when you write really true things and you are sincere, the best things come out. This is called Eugenia. This is the name of a woman. And these are like kind of cookies with chocolate filling. And they are really old, so they have a big tradition. They used to be very cheap. And also when I was a child, and they are really, really good. I do not eat them often, but they are reminding me of childhood, and they are very cool for nostalgic people. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm from Serbia, from Belgrade, but I was born and grew up in Pula, in Croatia. And that part of Croatia, it's called Istria. It's the Adriatic coast of Croatia. And this is pashareta, is some kind of non-alcoholic juice made only in Istria, in Pula, in my place of birth. And this is the fastest way to give back to childhood. As kids, we really like to drink this drink, and then when we were not so young, so young, we were drinking it with alcohol. For example, when you mix white wine and pashareta, then that's called vinoreta. So this drink, it's really connected with my origin and with my memories. And it's connected also with my writing, because usually I'm writing about my personal stories, about my memories, about memories of my family and my own memories, because I think that you have to be honest and you have to write about your intimate thing if you want to be interested and if you want to be sincere.
I was born in 1977, so in quite a difficult period in Romania, the 80s. I think I just had the chance to be raised in a family that, even if the times were really hard, gave me, how to say, a real real good and the real important conscious of the world around us. We were talking a lot about what was happening, and my parents and also my grandmother, because I stayed a lot with her, was very careful in the way she raised me, the values she transmitted, a certain desire to keep the culture quite near us, and of course a desire to read a lot and to write. So I had the chance to be raised by a lot of women, I would say, and they all, in a way, transmitted me, conveyed me very precious principle and very precious values. So I think it's important to make young people who are beginning to write more conscious of theater as a space of imagining a world of their own and of a world that makes them feel safe and more interrogative. I try not to, for me, teaching is a way of, I don't know, guiding, but guiding very subtly. I don't think in a kind of pedagogy that gives rules. That's why I don't like to work with very strict, let's say, frames. I try to make them find their path, their voice. I try also to bring about ethical questions, and because I think it's important when you begin writing to ask yourself relevant ethical questions, not only what are you writing about, but also why are you writing about this? What's the responsibility when you are, I don't know, touching vulnerable issues? What's your personal and also political relation to a subject? Why do you think this is urgent for you? How do you approach this in a way that does not close the subject but opens a lot of perspectives? So my pedagogy is more a pedagogy of questions and guiding them through various questions that offer them the possibility to find ways of expression, of course, and maybe innovative ways of expression, but not to forget why the story is so important for you. For me, this is one of the most important questions that a playwright should deal with, because there are so many stories that there are so many stories around us that when we choose one, our choice, in my opinion, has to be intimate, and it has to be also political.
My origin as a German who had learned to communicate in English at the age of 7 seems to have given me a big desire to understand the main point of things. If you can't understand anything because everyone around you is talking in a foreign language, you try to at least grasp something, the major points of a conversation, so that something starts to make sense. You have the desire for the world to be accessible again. In my writing, I'm eager to be very clear. I like focusing on the essentials, to grasp and portray the circumstances of my characters directly. When I watch theater, I like things to make sense, to be touched emotionally, and to be given something to think about. I come from a musical family. My grandmother was an organist, my mother plays the viola da gamba, and my father has a small publishing house for Baroque music. My brother and sister and I all played instruments for many years. So in my childhood, music was always in the air, and this has a strong influence on my writing up to this day. I want language, and especially spoken language that we use in theater, to sound good. I want it to be formed in a way composed. One of my life themes is the desire to belong. I love to be part of a group or a team. When I was a child, my family and I moved from Berlin to Bonn, to Poughkeepsie, New York, to Brussels, Belgium, and when I was 13, back to Germany, to Heidelberg. By the time I reached 8th grade, I had been in 6 schools. In each new place, I would always feel different from the rest, foreign. It takes time to connect and to build friendships. And while lots of things around me changed, I came to trust my family deeply and to cherish the people who stayed by my side. A lot of my plays are about different qualities of human relationships, about dealing with each other in a profound way. They are also about making choices, about following your own path, and about finding connections that become vitally important, that can be trusted. I work a lot for children's theater, and maybe this is because I remember being a child myself very clearly. I can immediately connect to many situations children can become involved in. I understand what it means to be lost, but also what it means to be protected. My desire to be clear in my work means it is especially accessible for little humans who are just beginning to understand the world.
Well, I took this question you sent us before, not so much geographically. So I would say I come from, or try to come from, my inner space. There's a musician and composer, he's called Kenny Werner, and I'm, since some years, a big fan. He has some theories, or he has this approach, he uses this approach for his music, but you can transform it in arts in generally, so I try to transform it into my writing. It is he calls it effortless mastery, and he tries to work from this space, and it's a space in yourself where you get rid of inner censors or of values, of judgment. You get rid of it, you're just in the moment, and be aware of yourself, and then write whatever wants to be said. And that's pretty much the same I do with my students. I try to offer them a safe space and also try to encourage them to just use their very, very own voice. I write for theater because I really believe that the power is that so many different positions work together. With each performance, you try to get this satisfying feeling of everything happened at this point and came together.
I'm from Vienna, or to be more precise, I'm from the Viennese coffee house. It's a place I'm related to. And it's not only because of the coffee that I really love, but it's also because of the place, because there's a quote that says, if you go to a coffee house, you are at home, although you are yet not at home. And that's an atmosphere and that's a feeling I really enjoy. I like to sit there drinking coffee and watching people. And somehow these coffee houses are like stages. You know, you have all the possibilities of people coming and going, leaving. And you have all these, you have all the whole life within the coffee house, probably, someday. Sometimes you don't have anything because it's kind of empty. And then imagination starts and you start to think who could be the next person entering through the door. And it could be the love of your life, probably. But it could also be something you thought of that he was dead. And then you start thinking about how this connects. And you start to tell stories. Sitting in a coffee house, being part of this world or this cosmos is also infecting my writing, because when I write, I imagine not so much the stage, but I imagine the people and the sound of their voices. And when you close your eyes, sitting in a coffee house, you have all this talking around you, and you hear the sounds, and you see, when you have the eyes closed, you see the person, and you see in the imagination that this person tells stories about their lives, and then you start to connect all these voices. And that's also how I write. I start to connect dialogues or monologues with each other. And it's more about composing sometimes, composing the words, than thinking of a plot in the beginning. Maybe later it starts to get very concrete. But to come back to this coffee house, I think coffee houses or bars or restaurants, whatever, open spaces, public spaces, are for me the perfect stage.
I am from the countryside, small village in Austria. And by countryside, I really mean countryside. I like the thought of bringing the city and the thoughts from the city to the countryside. And I believe that it's somehow my task to write in a way that everybody can understand, no matter if they have a degree in philosophy or not. I write for people like my mom, for example, people that are not professionally working in theater. I write for my mom. She's my greatest fan. She always used to be, and she always will be.
Where do I come from? It is a big question at the moment because I am writing about home currently. The feeling of home, with the questions like, can I be at home at somebody's? Is it a question of propriety? Is it regarding the place from where I come? So I would say that I am basically from France, north of France, rain, clouds, cold, gray skies, with rare but magnificent clearings. I am from impressionist landscape and realist stories. For me, the question of where do I come from is about legacy. This theme is the heart of my work, legacy. For example, whether it is for my play Made in Marilyn or Letter to a Second Mother, it's two of my last plays. It is about how we construct ourselves in relation to a famous figure or a model of beauty, of acting, or a model of feminism, for example. When I think about legacy, I wonder what is the most relevant. Is it my family history, my social background, my artistic inspirations, my educational career, my psychological path? I must confess, I don't know how successful I am in dealing with it, but I'm pretty sure that writing has something to do with it, with legacy. As a human being, I come from a history and a geography. I come from emotions, experiences, dreams, failures, doubts, and secrets. And as a playwright, I like to say that I come from the stage. Because before writing, for me, there was acting. And what I like the most is a setting work that could include rewriting, for instance, and that include rhythm, organicity of the language.
Jo sóc una mica de frontera. Vaig néixer a Figueres, però vaig viure a l'estació de Portbou, que és una estació que està just a la frontera amb França. I aleshores és un lloc de pas i on no acabes de ser ni d'un lloc ni de l'altre. I jo crec que en el teatre també, el meu teatre és una mica així també, no? Que està en un lloc de frontera. Sempre hi ha personatges o situacions on la línia entre la realitat i la ficció no és tan clara, la línia entre un rol i un altre no està tan clara, i crec que és una cosa que ha definit una mica la meva escriptura. També penso que el meu origen, la meva família, no tenen res a veure amb el teatre. El meu avi construïa carro, era fuster, però crec que sí que hi ha alguna cosa de construir, com amb peces de fusta fas un armari o fas un carro o fas un moble, també amb peces de paraules i de situacions i de personatges acabes construint una història que s'ha de sostenir i s'ha d'articular en un temps i un espai. Crec que el teatre és diferent a moltes altres arts i té una força que moltes altres arts no tenen, que és el poder de la col·lectivitat junta en el mateix temps i en el mateix espai. Quan jo escric una obra de teatre, estic articulant una història amb paraules i amb accions, en el temps i en l'espai, que s'acabarà en un lloc determinat, en un moment determinat, davant d'un espectador determinat, i que un cop s'hagi tancat aquella història haurà desaparegut per sempre. Es tornarà a repetir el dia següent la mateixa obra, però no serà exactament la mateixa història. O sigui que cada dia, tant els actors com els espectadors són un dia més grans cada dia que passa. O sigui, això és una cosa que el cinema no té, no? Al cinema tu pots anar a veure la mateixa pel·lícula durant els anys i tu vas envellint, però la pel·lícula no, els actors de la pel·lícula segueixen sent igual de joves que el dia que van rodar aquella pel·lícula. En teatre això no passa. En teatre l'actor i l'espectador viuen aquest mateix moment i comparteixen aquesta història en aquest mateix moment, no? I això té una intensitat que no tenen, que només tenen les arts vives, no? Les arts escèniques. Per això crec que les històries tenen quan estan ben explicades, tenen una potència i una intensitat que no tenen altres coses que siguin el teatre. No sé per què escric teatre, però sí que recordo quan era petita la primera vegada que vaig anar a veure una obra de teatre i la primera vegada que vaig fer teatre a l'escola, que va ser el voler formar part d'allò, no? De dir això és una cosa que estic dins d'un espai on em sento segura, on em sento que puc explicar coses, que em poden explicar coses i que vull formar part d'això, no? I crec que això va ser també la primera vegada que vaig escriure una història sobre la història del meu avi. La vaig posar en escena i el meu avi va poder-la veure i va ser per mi molt potent experimentar això, veure com gent que jo coneixia estaven veient en escena coses que els havien passat de la seva memòria, del seu passat de la guerra, i que allò els emocionava, els feia riure, els feia plorar. I jo crec que és això, no? El dia que vaig veure que jo vull fer això, jo vull escriure històries que fan riure, que fan plorar, que fan moure coses a la gent, no?
I was born in Sweden just by accident. My parents were the generation of the late 60s immigrants that just escaped in a way for economic reasons. The country that was in blossom in some way, ex-Yugoslavia, but anyhow, it was not the dream that they had for themselves and for their children. I was born there, but then it was an awful time, in the middle of the Cold War, and then, ex-Yugoslavian immigration, the terrorist acts, and my mother just decided this is not a place that is peaceful for my children, so we came back to Belgrade. They're from Belgrade, I'm from Serbia. And then I stayed here, we stayed in this socialist type of skyscraper building that really formed me somehow, because it was really a mixture of this ex-Yugoslavia, of different kind of people, different nationalities, and then actually, I felt safe there. But when I think back to my childhood, I remember one thing, that there was a wall in front of my building, a huge wall that belonged to the other building, and it was just written on it in a huge letters, "Don't approach, the wall will tumble down." And no one really fixed the wall for like 40 years. It's still there, that, it's written still there. The wall didn't tumble down, didn't kill anyone, but still that way that humbles you, you think you are safe, you think this is your own place, you command, it's yours. But then in any second, even 40 years later, the wall can just be destroyed or kill you or change completely the aspect of the world that you had before. I collect Catholic kitsch, and especially female saints, and especially Virgin Mary. I was not brought up in religion, I'm not baptized at all. I'm an atheist. And culturally, I belong to this Christian Orthodox side of Christianity, but really just like a custom, But I never played with dolls when I was very little. I played with dolls. We just played outside in the dirt, And then when I grew up a little bit, when I started to travel with my plays in Europe, I started collecting my Barbie dolls, which is, these female saints. And I always say that La Vierge, Virgin Mary, is my favorite historical personality. And I think she was very important for female rights. And in a way, the first feminist in the history of the movement. And I explain it a lot through art. And then people know that, my friends, and they keep bringing me from everywhere. So my collection is in my bathroom, actually. And then I just keep moving it in wherever I work, in my office, at the university, or my writing desk. But basically, my bathroom is full of these little dolls that I play with.
I come from a long tradition of anti-fascist people. My grandmother had 5 sisters, and they were all involved in the occupation army, and they were partisan couriers. This was an active and crucial figure in the liberation army struggle. They were delivering important messages, secret messages, from the society to the hidden brigades in the woods, or from the brigades in the woods to the allies. Of course, if they were discovered, they faced death. And so it occurred to me that if I can do what I do today with my intellectual work, I know that I owe very much to these women and men in my past.
And of course, my mission as an intellectual woman is not that crucial as they brave and courageous acts were in the Second World War. But still, I think that we are living somehow other wars, even in Italy, where I live. And of course, we are not in Ukraine, we are not in Palestine now, but still, it's like a big battlefield. And I strongly think that writers nowadays have the mission to deliver secret messages, not to explain what reality is, but just to encourage and inspire and be inspired from the battlefield, any battlefield.
Where am I from? That's the good question. I'm defining, of course, from geographical point of view, I'm from Poland. I'm from Gdańsk, northern Poland, which I think is quite different than the other parts of Poland because it was actually, it wasn't German. It was German before the Second World War, but it was also Freistaat Danzig, which means Free City of Gdańsk. So it contained a lot of cultures inside. Inhabitants were living all together. If I would like to answer the question, why am I writing? I am definitely writing to not only be me, to meet the other people through creating the characters. And I believe this curiosity of mine of what the other people feel, think, why do they behave like they behave, what are their dreams, what are their desires, and that I'm conscious that they may do different choices than I would take, that they may have completely different points of views and desires. I believe this power of the city, the free city, the place, the spot on the map in which many people had to live together. I think it somehow comes from that place, from Gdańsk and from the city which was called the city of freedom because of the history of 1989, when solidarity movement in my region in Eastern Europe started, actually. So I think it's this ability to listen to the other people and to listen them carefully and to understand them. Probably I'm very happy that I have this heritage, and I think these two things are linked together.
Okay, where I'm from. Well, I was from here in Paris, in the center of Paris, when my parents were young students. Then I grew up there in a big city called Nantes, open the Atlantic Ocean. It's a port. And in this city I learned English, Spanish, Russian. And then I went back to Paris for theater. And Paris is a city where people from all over the world live, of course. And my little shelter, family shelter, until now is here in the middle, exactly halfway between Paris and Barcelona, in the middle of nowhere, in a beautiful nature. And so what I can say where I'm from, my homeland is Europe, I would say. And I started to travel around Europe when very young and on my own. And where I'm from, I'm related to very important places for me. Russia, I would say North Africa, where I worked and traveled. This part of Africa, which I'm discovering now. Also this one, Namibia, was very important. I worked there and I learned a lot from many things. And here, Reunion Island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, a very important place also, India. And there, on the other side, Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Quebec, San Francisco. for all this for work and friendship, and also Argentina. Not long ago, I went there at the almost end of this world, and the next travel is South America for work. So my last place, they all happen stopped. I wouldn't say they start here, but they're made of the whole world of all my life now and all the space.
Io vengo da un eterno presente, credo, perché tutto quello che è già accaduto è parte della mia carne e mi ha costruita, formata e integrata nel mondo. Io sto in eterno presente. Vengo da qui, un po' senza passato e un po' senza un futuro. E sono molto cosciente di quello che dico, di questo eterno presente dove affogo. La mia pratica artistica è fatta per manipolarlo, questo presente, e per provare a conviverci continuamente, perché il presente è la cosa che più cambia e si muove rapidamente.